All right, let's get started with today's live. So, today, if you're a parent who feels like your child argues with every single decision that you make, then definitely this live is for you. Um, you say, for example, it's dinner time, and you show them what you have, and they want something else. You say screens are done and they melt down or they run away from you. Or you say no to something small, like not to an extra cookie, and suddenly, like the whole house feels like it's falling apart. And after a while, you kind of like start wondering, am I being too strict or am I doing something wrong? Like, why is this so hard, right? Today, I want to show you something that surprises a lot of parents. The goal is not to stop your child from pushing your boundaries. All kids are going to test the limit. What we want to teach them is how to handle those limits without the house turning upside down. So, in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you a 4 step routine for holding boundaries without escalating the tantrum. The one sentence that you can use when your child keeps arguing, and how to apply it to things on your day to day, like screen time, dinner battles, and bedtime. So we'll start with a quick story, and then I'll teach you the routine and end with how we will apply this in real situations as parents go through it. So I worked with a mom whose 4-year-old son was incredibly determined and super strong willed. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to what I'm talking about. Every decision became a battle. If she made chicken nuggets, he wanted pizza. If she made pizza, he suddenly wanted a quesadilla. If his brother had something, he needed it too. And if the shirt that he wanted was the blue one that was in the washer, then that's the only shirt that he would accept. Whatever wasn't available is what he wanted. She used to tell me that she felt like her whole day was just trying to prevent the next explosion. Like she was just walking on eggshells. And she actually told me once that she felt afraid of her child's tantrums. They were so intense that they kind of like put her in a panic. At the time, she tried reasoning, she tried explaining what things were impossible, she tried offering more choices, giving the kid more control. And sometimes, just to avoid the meltdown or the tantrum, she just changed things up. She would just actually make the pizza and the quesadilla and pull the shirt out of the washer machine if he wanted it, just to avoid whatever explosion came with not giving him access to that. But what happened was something that many parents experience. The more that she accommodated to the child's wants and needs, the more the demands grew. Not because the kid was manipulative, but because kids quickly learn what works. That kid learned that pushing mama got him what he wanted. That was really the truth. So now, what changed wasn't the kid, it wasn't him or his personality. What changed was how she handled the resistance during those situations. She stopped trying to eliminate his frustration, and instead, she learned how to hold the boundary calmly while helping him through that emotion. Over time, the resistance didn't stop. The kid didn't stop tantruming altogether, but the meltdowns got shorter, they got less intense, the arguments like decreased, and then the home felt calmer. Not because he stopped having those feelings, but because he learned that mom's boundary stays the same and that he can actually survive being upset or frustrated. Mom felt in control and she felt like she could handle the tantrums. She was no longer afraid of them. I remember her telling me, being like, I think the biggest difference is that I don't feel afraid of him tantruming, which is a great feeling for a parent. The routine that helped her do this is what I'm going to show you right now. So, this is called the boundary ladder. It's a 4 step sequence that every parent climbs every time a child pushes a limit. You don't skip the steps, you just move up the ladder, and it's 4 steps. Number one, you set the boundary. Number two, you name the feeling. Number three, hold the line. Number four, reconnect after. So, Step one in the ladder is set the boundary. We start with a clear, calm statement of the rule. Not long explanations, not negotiations, not why this exists in the first place, just plain clarity. Examples of this can be, tonight we're going to have chicken nuggets. There's nothing else. The iPad is all done for today. I'm turning it off. That shirt is in the wash today, but today you can wear either this one or this one. Just simple, clear, neutral tone. We're not mad, we're not rushed, not anything. Just clear and neutral and simple. Kids actually feel safer when the limits are predictable. So, first step in the ladder, set the boundary. Next step in the ladder is name the feeling. When your child pushes back, they're often saying, I don't like this limit. I want to do what I want to do, and I don't like it. So instead of arguing, we acknowledge the emotion. I know you wanted pizza. You were hoping to watch another show. I know this is hard. You wanted the red shirt. Just acknowledge the emotion. There's no need to explain a why or try to get them to logically understand what you're doing. It's very important to keep in mind in this step that you're not changing the rule. Just because you're acknowledging the feeling doesn't mean that you're changing the rule. You're showing them that you understand, and that's the purpose of this step in the ladder. You show them that you understand. When kids feel understood, their brain just settles faster. They're more willing to hear you, to understand that you're actually trying to hear them out. Okay, step three in the ladder is holding the line. This is the hardest step for parents. This is where parents often get pulled into their child's emotions, and most of the time, from what I've seen, they freeze or they give in. But this step is just repetition. The boundary stays the same. Here's the sentence that you can use: I hear you, and the answer is still X. I hear you, and we still having chicken nuggets for the dinner. I understand you're upset. The iPad is still all done. That's the sentence. Emotion and boundary. So short, same rules apply. Short, calm, consistent. No lectures, no explanations. Just holding the line. And yes, your child might still be upset. More than likely, your child will escalate, will tantrum a little more. That doesn't mean that it's not working or that you did something wrong. Resistance is part of how kids learn their limits. If you want to hold a boundary, you need to be prepared for the pushback. The most common mistake I see parents make is believing that the resistance should not exist in the first place. That is how kids learn, it's part of the process. The pushback or the resistance is not the problem. The problem is that we do not know what to do with it. And let me give you an example of this. We call this the vending machine effect. When you go to a vending machine and you give it $1 and it doesn't give you your chips, the automatic thing that most of us do is we start pushing the buttons harder. We try to pound the machine, try to move it, even though it's heavy and we can't move it. And then eventually, when it doesn't give us our chips and we don't have another dollar to give it, we walk away. That example is the version of the pushback and the resistance that you experience with your child. When you're pushing the machine, the buttons, and trying to pound it and get you your chips, that's you being resistant or pushing back to something that you have done in the past is not working for you. It's the same thing for your child. So what we need to do is expect that resistance and be prepared for it. Just because it's loud or is intense, it does not mean that it's dangerous or that is wrong or that it shouldn't exist in the first place. It just means we're not prepared for it. So we prepare for it, it makes it easier for us to hold the boundary. Okay, hope that makes sense. Step four is reconnecting after. Once the whole tantrum passes, the storm is calmer, We repair the moment. It's a very important step because we want children to learn that even though when they struggle with the limits, the parent is still on their side. Just because we're holding a boundary doesn't mean that I'm going to be mad at you. It does not mean that you did something wrong, or it does not mean that I'm going to withhold love or attention from you. It just means I mean it. I mean that boundary and I'm going to hold it. But nothing about how I feel about you as a child and being my child changes. Very important step. So, examples of things that you can say or how you can reconnect with your child can be something like, that was really hard, but you did it. You turned the iPad off. I know you really wanted something different tonight, but you're really enjoying that pizza. Or simply just a hug, sitting together, reading a book, having a moment of connection, because that creates security for the child. And so when you have that security, they feel calmer, more relaxed, and they're more likely to cooperate in the future. Okay, so let's put it all together in an example. So, for example, say a kid is pushing the boundary of screen time. So, the parent says, my child screams when I turn off the iPad. So here's the boundary ladder. You set the boundary, screen time is all done. Then you name the feeling. I know you wish you could keep watching, but the iPad is still all done. So we hold the line and then we reconnect. That was really hard to turn it off. Do you want to help me make popcorn? Do you want to go do something else? So that is how that plays out. And with that, I will open up for some questions and see what we got today. Okay, it looks like I have a parent saying that they always have to make different things for dinner. That's a very common thing. And they want the child to eat, so they end up making the next thing and the next thing. So, what do you do in that situation to go through the boundary ladder? And very common, first of all. So, great question. Very common, especially if you have a picky eater. I would recommend that the kid is trying to get you to change what you have in the menu, because in the past they have learned that they can get you to change the menu. So it could be a preference thing. It's not necessarily the fact that like they won't eat it. It's just, if I have the option, why wouldn't I? So of course, we would never deprive children of food if the child needs to eat. However, if your child is not going hungry and your priority is to establish a boundary so that you're not creating different items every night, then you stick with the boundary by saying, tonight we're having pizza. I know you were hoping for chicken nuggets, but we're having pizza tonight. That's all we have. You can either have pizza or be all done with dinner, whichever one. In the future, if you don't give them the option, they will realize that they don't have the option anymore. Cool. I think that is the question that we have today. So I'll see you guys next week.